Hello, BookTube. I've got a book haul today, and you're probably surprised because I do book hauls on my channel, but normally they're spaced out in like a month or whatever, every 2 weeks, three, four, I don't know how long, whenever I do book hauls. But I know it's been not that long since I've done my last one, but I've just been finding so many lovely stuff, and I need to put them in my shelf, so I need to make a video telling you guys about them. So I have a lot today. We got some travel non-fiction books about traveling because it's non-fiction November, of course. Got some political books, of course. We got some fantasy. I know, look at me getting fantasy, and we also have some essays. So there's a lot today, and let's get started. So the first thing, and I've already showed some of these on my channel in my non-fiction November tag, but we'll worry about that later. That doesn't matter. I found The Life of Captain James Cook here by J.C. Bellego, whatever it is. I finished this last night and I love it so much. I want to talk about more in my wrap up, but this is the first James Cook book I've read. I've obviously read a lot about his travels and all that, and I want to find his diaries because I think Penguin does an edition of his diaries, but this has just pushed me to read it more. It was a big chunky life to death pretty much of James Cook, and it was so lovely. I can see why this is considered a classic in terms of biography and especially about him, but it was just such a lovely read. So I have that, and then I have here The Dig Tree by by Sarah Mardigal. Oh my god, I can't say names. Here it is. The Dig Tree, I'll read the back because I have always heard of it, but I don't know much about it, so here it is. In 1860, an eccentric Irish police officer named Robert O'Hara Burke led a cavalcade of camels, wagons, and men out of Melbourne, accompanied by William Wills, a shy English scientist. He was prepared to risk everything to become the first European to cross the Australian continent. A few months later, an ancient Kabula tree at Cooper Creek bore a strange carving. Dig under 3 feet N.W. Burke. Wills and 5 other men were dead. The exploration had become an astonishing tragedy. Sarah reveals new historical and scientific evidence to tell the full story of the disaster and its heroism and romance. And take my money, that sounds incredible. I've always heard of this exploration gone wrong, and I can't wait to read about it because it's always been so interesting. So I have that as well. And then I have here Ian Clendin's Dancing with Strangers here. This is what I've always heard is a really good book about early Australian history, pretty much 1700s. I think it ends in the 1790s. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, I love early histories of Australia, and so I've had to pick up this because I've again heard a lot about it. And then another book I've mentioned already is Gary Linwell's Buckley's Chance. This is about William Buckley. He was sent to Australia for stealing a cloth, and he escaped and ran to the bush, and people just assumed him to be dead. But 30 years later, they found him with an indigenous tribe, and he forgot to speak English, and they how do they deal with that? So I've always heard about the legend of Mr. Buckley, and I can't wait to read a book about it. So that's some of the travel stuff out of the way. I'll move it around here because there's a lot we gotta talk about. But we'll get to some fantasy because I want to be a fantasy girly so bad. I've talked about this before. I'm tempted. I really would love to do actually Randy Ray's Lone Star Book Club because he's doing the Lord of the Rings, and I can't do it in November because it's non-fiction November. So I'm thinking I could do December and January and like do it then, and I can do it. It's easy, but I'm a bit I'm not sure because I want to give Lord of the Rings a try again because I read I couldn't even get through the first book. I found it just not to be my thing. But I do want to give it another try because I've always preferred The Hobbit, to be honest, over The Lord of the Rings. But it's been so many years since I've read Lord of the Rings. I've never even seen the movies. I've just never been gripped by The Lord of the Rings. And I say that because I don't know where else to go in fantasy if I'm being a bit honest. So I decided to go where else, go to an I don't know what I'm saying. Go to one of my favorite fantasy authors who I know I really like, and that's Miss Robin Hobb. I love the Realm of the Eldlings books. I finished them in weeks, all 16 of them. I loved them to death. And she has another trilogy called the Soldier Son trilogy. And so I got book one, Starman's Crossing here, and book three, Renegade's Magic. And the reason I don't have book two right now is because the secondhand place I got it from didn't have book two in the matching edition, and I was like, I may as well just get a secondhand copy of the same edition because it matches with all 16 other Robin Hobb books, and I'm like, I've got to just do it. And so I have these on the side if I want to do another Robin Hobb. I don't know if when I'll reread Realm of the Eldlings. It is a commitment, I will be honest, but I loved it so much, and I hope I'm manifesting I like something else that Robin Hobb wrote. I know she wrote a lot under a different pen name and all that, but right now I do want to do this trilogy right now. So I have that. And then I also got Fever Dream by George R. R. Martin. This is like him doing vampires and like a ship or whatever. I read this as a teen, really loved it. I read this after I read Game of Thrones, well, Song of Ice, who cares? And the thing was with Game of Thrones, I'm not going on tangents. Because I really want to reread it because I read it as a teen or whatever. I really loved really, the first two books in The Song of Ice and Fire, whatever that series is called. The other, oh, God knows how many, I don't care for as much, but I want to see if I still think like that. But anyway, I have Fever Dream here. I've always loved it. It's one of my favorite things he wrote. I am shocked that there has not been a reprint of oh my God, what am I saying? Of George R. R. Martin's short stories, because they are incredible. There's honestly the best things he wrote, to be honest. And I'm waiting for the day his short stories get a reprint because they're really great. And so I have those on the side for if I want to do some fantasy, because I just want to really like fantasy, and that's something I need to process. Then in terms of the essays I got some Hilary Mantel. Mantel pieces here. This is anthology of her essays and what else? I haven't really looked in it. Yeah, essays and letters. And again, I've always liked Hilary Mantel. I have not read Wolf Hall, the series, in years. I binged all of them when Bringing Up the Bodies, that last one, came out. I read all of them then. Addicted, and I'm so due for a reread. I haven't read anything else by her. I have the Assassination of Margaret Thatcher and like that short story collection. I have that as well. But why not pick some of her nonfiction? I weirdly own her in really nice hardcovers. And I feel like there's some authors where you just randomly find pretty editions of them, and you just like, why them? And I love Hilary Mantel, and I don't know why I have her in like really nice hardcovers, but I can't wait to get to this when I do my big reread of Hilary Mantel. So that's some more stuff out of the way. We're finally getting to Australian politics, because there is a lot here, and I'm very excited about this. So first thing I got was Australian Prime Ministers, edited by Michael Grattan here. This is one of the only anthologies collections I've ever found of short mini biographies of every Australian Prime Minister, all the way from Edmund Barton all the way to John Howard. And John Howard, so this would have been came out before 2007 probably. It's been updated before. I think the last one was like 10 years ago or whatever. But again, some prime ministers don't even have biographies, and I feel like it's a good resource to have at least for some of them. And I can't wait to see what they write about Billy Hughes and Barton and Alfred Deakin too. Like there's Chris Watson. There's so many. And so I have this just as a really lovely reference. Then I have here The Whitlam Government by Gough Whitlam, 72 to 75. This was written in the 80s. It's Gough Whitlam pretty much reflecting about his government and all the achievements he done. It is, take it with a grain of salt, because it is written by a former prime minister. So it's going to be a bit more, not as interrogating, at least from what I've heard, but again, I love Gough Whitlam. I want to read a lot of the stuff he wrote. And yeah, this is just one of them. This is a big 700-page book about him breaking down his government and what was able to do in his short, barely 3 years as Prime Minister. And yeah, so I have that as well. Then I have an autobiography by Bill Hayden here. Bill Hayden is one of the great politicians who never became Prime Minister because um, he, I was going to say, yeah, he never became Prime Minister, even though he had multiple opportunities to. He always was like, no, give it to someone else. Um, what I need to say, he's one of the most important people in the Labour movement. Do a Wikipedia on him, and you'll see everything that he's done. And this is his autobiography. Again, I don't know how many books there are on Bill Hayden, so I'm always picking up an autobiography. But it's very exciting because I've always wanted to learn more about Mr. Hayden. And speaking of someone who I want to learn more about, is John Gordon. Yep, he was Prime Minister in the late 60s, and I don't know nothing about him. I know he was liberal, and I know he was very much like a larrikin, like he was very not childish, but very happy-go-lucky in certain ways. And when I got this copy, I opened it up, and there were newspaper clippings all the way from 2002. I don't know if he died in 2002, probably, but and that was a year before I was born, and so it was nice to find, people putting like newspaper clippings and all that into their books. It's always so lovely, and especially for politics too. I don't know. It was just very nice, and I don't know anything about Mr. Gordon or anything, but I will read him and learn a lot more about him. Then the last book I have is it's a weapon. It could literally kill someone. It's a massive 1,000-page complete biography of Bob Hawke by his second wife here. That's all I know about it. I have heard that the way Blanche, whatever her name is, talks about Hawke's first wife, Hazel Hawke, who was, his wife when he was Prime Minister, isn't done as well. Grand Seal is written by his future second wife, but I will take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, yeah, so I have a massive Bob Hawke biography to do. He's such an interesting character. If you don't know about him, Wikipedia him. You'll know who he is. And so, yeah, that I can't wait to get to this because I love a good book about Bob Hawke. And that is a quick book haul. I know there's a lot here, and maybe there's more in the way. I've been really committing to nonfiction, and it's just a lovely time to do it in November. And December, I don't even know what I've got planned. I would love to do some Nora Roberts. It's about time I go back to her, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me know what you think about the books I've talked about today, and yeah. Thank you so much for watching BookTube. I will see you next time.